A very weak and sickly Donald Trump, you see right there, waddling into the Oval Office. Just look at the door right there to the Oval Office with all of the gaudy gold. It is so utterly humiliating. So Donald Trump waddles into the Oval Office, gives some ranting and raving speech like a lunatic, this press event where he says, I don't actually care if Zelensky meets with Putin and me. I'm just going to meet with Putin. That's all I discuss. Well, hey, Donald, are you going to impose secondary sanctions against Russia and all these other countries that do business with Russia? Donald Trump's like, I don't know, I'm going to let Vladimir Putin decide. At the same time, Donald Trump is sending emails like this. Barack Hussein Obama. This is the type of emails that Donald Trump is sending to his supporters. I subscribe so you don't have to. It goes, Barack Hussein Obama, exclamation point. Here is a statement from Tulsi Gabbard on Obama. The truth always wins out. Obama directed that a National Security Council meeting be called. They were tasked to create an intelligence assessment that detailed how Moscow tried to influence the election. Not if, but how. We know that in 2016, Russia tried to interfere with the election, but now the Trump regime wants to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is covering up the Epstein files while actively helping Ghislaine Maxwell get moved to a minimum security facility that's right on the Texas A&M campus or very close to the Texas A&M campus that has strong relationships as part of their restorative justice programs. So now Donald Trump's posting Barack Hussein Obama. That's what I want you to focus on. Hey, Donald, while you are weak and sickly and waddling into the Oval Office talking about meetings with Vladimir Putin while whining that people are saying that Russia interfered with the 2016 election, we're seeing what Russia is doing with you now, idiot. We see what's actively taking place right now. But a war is raging right now in Ukraine because Russia thinks you're weak and Europe knows that you're not helping, and Europe's doing all it can to help Zelensky, and Zelensky knows that you're throwing him under the bus. So Zelensky's doing everything he can. You see right here the oil refineries in Russia that Ukraine is striking. That's why Putin is asking you to have this meeting, because he's trying to buy time to delay the Ukrainian drone strikes against the oil refineries and railways in Russia so Putin can enlist more North Korean soldiers and enlist more soldiers in Russia to advance on Ukraine during his invasion. That's what's taking place. I mean, look what happened last night in the region right by Kyiv. More Russian drone strikes after Russian drone strikes after Russian drone strikes. And what is Donald Trump doing? What's Donald Trump posting about? Well, now Donald Trump's claiming not only did he win one club championship at his own property this past weekend, he now claims he won two separate tournaments over the weekend. Congratulations, Donald, on the taxpayer dime. While the American people are suffering, while inflation is surging, while groceries are far less affordable, while Americans can't afford a home or can't afford their rent, while over 10 to 15% of student loans are now delinquent, while people's credit cards are becoming delinquent, you're out there celebrating another golf tournament. Let them eat cake, this might as well say. Donald Trump posts the following: winning the Senior Club Championship and the Super Club Championship, the Super Senior Club Championship last weekend at Bedminster. But my heart wasn't into it. My heart is only in it for the USA. What the hell are you talking about? You're posting photos of yourself holding trophies where yet again you cheated and claimed you got a score of a 69 on your 18-hole golf course. So I'm sure, Donald, in all the holes you got 3s and 4s. We've seen your caddy throw the ball. We've seen how you cheat. And not only that, but you yesterday you held this press conference as well, the one where you waddled into the Oval Office, then went to the other room for Purple Heart recipients. Nobody wants a Purple Heart. They don't go into war wanting a Purple Heart because it's for service members who die or who are severely injured in battle. So it's not like people go, I want a Purple Heart. Donald Trump brags at this press conference yesterday about getting a Purple Heart. And he goes, it's a great honor that I got a Purple Heart. It wasn't easy for me either. What are you talking about? You got 5 deferments claiming bone spurs from Vietnam. You never got a Purple Heart. Oh, the Purple Heart you steal or take from to steal the valor of our actual Purple Heart recipients. Here, play this clip.
What a great honor to get those Purple Hearts. I guess in a certain way, it wasn't that easy for me either when you think of it, but you went through a lot more than I did, and I appreciate it all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, where are you? Stand up, please. Please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And of course, I just want to remind you, since yesterday was National Purple Heart Day, here is a clip of Trump saying that he always wanted to get the Purple Heart, like it was a win, like it's a victory to get a Purple Heart, because he has no clue what service is. He has no clue what it means to sacrifice anything. He thinks holding those 2 trophies, that's sacrifice. No, it isn't. That's grifting. Here, play this clip.
And he said, that's my real Purple Heart. I have such confidence in you. And I said, man, that's like big stuff. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier.
Here was at the Oval Office yesterday where Donald Trump was asked about the meeting with Putin, just so you could hear in his own words, where Caitlin Collins over at CNN said, for you to meet with Putin, does Zelensky have to be involved? What? No. Why would that have to happen? Here, play this clip.
No.
So you're willing to, that's actually important because President Putin said this morning he was pretty dismissive of this idea of meeting with President
Who was?
Zelensky. President Putin was.
I don't know. I didn't hear
For you
him.
to meet with him, he doesn't have to agree to meet with Zelensky. Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. No.
So when do you think that meeting?
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing. So last month, they lost 14,000 people killed last month. Every week is 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I don't like long waits. I think it's a shame.
And then Donald Trump is asked, so is there a deadline about sanctions? Who gets to decide? Putin. Putin gets to decide. Here, play this clip.
President, is your deadline for Vladimir Putin agreeing to a ceasefire still stand tomorrow, or is that fluid now that talks are...
What?
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
We also know yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, yesterday was confirmed that a meeting was held at the White House, Donald Trump, his cabinet, to talk about how to further cover up the Epstein files, how to further help Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted sex trafficker who's now in this minimum security facility. I'm going to do a whole other video on this minimum security facility. I've got a top Texas government official, former mayor of Galveston, and he's going to break down what that campus is all about and how it's right next to the Texas A&M college campus, which is why you shouldn't have sex traffickers near Texas A&M. So anyway, Donald Trump held that meeting with his cabinet. We're now hearing again from Virginia Giuffre's family and other victims and survivors. Here's what they have to say. Here, play this clip.
The victims here are real people, women who suffered extraordinarily over their life. Your sister lost her life this spring. So what do you say to someone, it's the president in this case, who calls all this a hoax?
It's not a hoax. I think it's pretty clear that these survivors are not hoax. These are people, and it hurts. It's they're still healing. They had something taken from them that they can never get back. And I think it's time that we take something from these powerful men that they can never get back, which is freedom. And so by calling it a hoax is a complete disgrace to everything that my sisters worked for, everything these survivors have worked for and continue to fight for. And I hope it gives them the space, and I hope it actually pisses them off, to be honest with you, enough to continue to fight and to continue to come forward. Because I can tell you here in a hoax, I think we need to be very careful with how we say things and treat this with compassion. And that feels very uncompassionate coming from somebody that's the leader of our country.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is now referring to inflation as a one-time price event on consumers. Just again, like he can't even, he looks nervous. He knows he's lying. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Play this clip.
You know, on this day, obviously a lot of focus on what the tariffs will do. And there's been a lot of projection. Obviously, the Fed has not lowered rates yet, thinking that perhaps it is going to trip some inflation. You had the Walmart earnings call where they said we're positioned to manage the cost pressure from tariffs as well as or better than anyone, but even at the reduced levels, the higher tariffs will result in higher prices. You're saying no.
I am saying that thus far, we have not seen a transmission into prices. And if we do, it could be a one-time price adjustment. But what we are seeing thus far is the manufacturers are eating it. So the overseas companies that's taken advantage of the U.S. for so long that the U.S. companies are shouldering a lot of the tariffs, and perhaps we'll see some price on the consumers. But overall, inflation has been very nascent. And as a matter of fact, 2 months ago, we saw inflation drop for the first time in 4 years.
And let me show you President Lula of Brazil says there's really no point in having any negotiations with Trump. There's no point. That Trump is just the bully. He's an authoritarian. And by the way, Brazil's cutting deals now with Japan. Brazil's cutting deals with all these countries now as the U.S. gets weaker. Here's President Lula of Brazil. Play this clip.
Let me tell you something. A president of the republic can't go around humiliating himself for someone else. I respect everyone, and I demand respect for myself. So what's going on? The civilized way for two heads of state to negotiate is, if he wanted to make this decision against Brazil, he could have informed Brazil, he could have called, he could have proposed negotiations. But instead, we received the notice about the tax in a totally authoritarian way. And that's not how we're used to negotiating. That's not how it works. Even now, there are a lot of people from Brazil trying to talk to Americans. We believe that a country with 201 years of very civilized diplomatic relations is not going to throw that away because many times of a rash attitude from a president.
And finally, I want to end with this right here. A Reuters exclusive. The U.S. Air Force is now denying early retirement to all transgender service members with between 15 and 18 years of military service, opting instead to kick them out with no retirement benefits, according to a memo seen by Reuters. These longer-serving transgender service members will have the same choice as more junior ones: quit or be forced out with a corresponding lump sum payment as they walk out the door, the August 4th memo says. As Senator Brian Schatz explains, it was never about the bathrooms or the sports. It was always just to demonize and punish. These Americans have devoted their careers to keeping us safe, and they are getting screwed by the government. Just think about it. Transgender service members who serve between 15 plus years in the military, sacrificing their lives. That means they've already served 15 years in uniform. Donald Trump, who brags about his Purple Heart, kicking these people to the street and not giving them retirement. If that doesn't piss you off, then you don't have a heart. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 16 million. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Then we can get to 16 million subscribers. Hit subscribe.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.